what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Mylo's Mansion. This time together with legendary
Ho, ho, ho,
MC Haits.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, legendary.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm getting a little bit shy now. No, a compliment to you. I never see myself like that. It's not shyness or whatever, but yeah, thanks so much. Good to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I mean, you've been in the game for, what is it? How many years? Probably when I was still a little kid.
Well, when I drove up here, I was like, oh yeah, I think that's going to be a question. How long are you going to be in the industry? I was 31, no, I think, yeah, around 30, 31. And I'm not going to tell my age, but it's like 15 years ago. And before that, I grew up when I was like 18. I worked at a club like as a weekend job. And then we had like the legendaries, Ferry Korsten, Eric E. They were just like small
Sick.
DJs. And my boss then asked me, well, can you announce them? Okay, somebody has to announce them. And I just went into a headphone and were like announcing like that, like a 60s voice. So actually, when I was 18, I had like the first sense of how that emceeing or hosting. But actually, yeah, it's like 15 years now.
Sick.
In the industry.
Yeah, that's like the headphone. That's coming back now. I feel like now a lot of like techno, tech house DJs, they don't really want to be on the mic because, I don't know, they think it's not cool or whatever, everyone their own opinion.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when they do have the feeling, okay, I actually do want to say something, they just like plug in the headphones and it's like terrible, like you're like talking through an old Nokia from 30 years ago.
Yeah, actually, it sounds pretty cool. It has like that 20s,
True.
20s vibe. But yeah, in the nowadays, like with the best gear that's possible and available, yeah, it looks a little bit, well, not necessary. Just ask for a microphone, and if you don't want to use it, you don't want to use it. If you want to use it, use it.
Yeah.
So, I think the MC area changed a little bit. I think a lot of DJs want to do it still themselves, but actually most of them are pretty good at it. Some, well,
Yeah, because I grew up with like Sensation, like watching those like the videos, and like I think they made like a DVD every year with like the whole show. And then like no like there was no DJ that was like on the mic, and there was always the MC that did like the announcing and like hyping up the crowd. And
I think we're going back to that era.
yeah,
That's my feeling. And normally it's always like that, you have like a curve, and then everybody uses it, and then because when it's too cool, you get like an opposite track. They go like, okay, we're not going to do it. And now, especially with the techie house and techno, most of them don't use it anymore. So yeah, I think I'm getting ancient or not. In some vibes you can use it. So yeah, I'm not going to be critical about it. It's like how trends go and on and off. So yeah, for us it's okay. And I think still the quality, if you use it, the quality must be really high because or else it doesn't work.
true. You've been touring with DJs as well, right? Just like with
Yeah.
I don't remember with who actually.
That's a funny story actually. I started off with Henry James and Ryan Marciano.
Sick.
That was still a little bit in Holland. After that, I did Kreider for a season. Love that guy. After that, I did almost a summer with Lucas and Steve. I did a small tour with Oliver Heldens, a few shows. Tujamo, I did like a couple of years. I think
Sick.
2 or 3 years. Love the guy. And then a lot of bigger festivals were like, okay, you're doing pretty good. Do you want to work for us? And then actually nowadays I just do, festivals and pretty big shows, because for me, the funny thing is if you are with a DJ, it's just like 1 hour or 1.5. And then you go on to the next one. Festivals like 8-9 hours. Pay-wise, it's different. Physical, 9 hours, 10 hours.
Yeah.
Can be tough. So on the other hand, it has both ways. But I think both are pretty cool to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've run into each other at many festivals.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm thinking about India, of course.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, thinking about being like 9 hours in the heat, like a festival starts at like, what is it, 12? India, it's like 34, 35 degrees heat, and you're there all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna complain because
No, of
man,
course.
as well as you, we got the best job in the world. But yeah, it can be tough sometimes. Especially India, you start at 12, but the festival is like always delayed.
Yeah.
Summer, and I love you guys, but
Classic.
it's always delayed. So they start at 3, so you're already like 3 hours in the freaking heat. And then when you start, the funny thing I think the good thing in India is that in Holland, when you start a festival, everybody starts at the end of the field,
Yeah, true.
drinks a beer, and then slowly comes up to the front. In India, they start at the front and then slowly go to the back. So when you start, you immediately have a good vibe.
Yeah.
But then again, it costs you a lot of energy. So at the end of the night, well, you're like done, tired,
Yeah, of
and then
course.
you have 3 days. Yeah, sometimes can be like pretty tough, but then, yeah, you know it before you start on it. So yeah, you just like, especially with alcohol or whatever. So you regulate it a little bit more than just like 1.5 hours.
You don't peak too early.
No, that's not the smartest thing to do at that time. No.
Yeah, that's funny though that you say that about India, because I've played the early slots there, like opening slots or like the second slot. Nothing wrong with that. But then, like when the doors open, literally they come like running to the stage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so different from what you're saying. Like in Holland, we go to the bar, get a beer, kind of get in the mood, chill a little bit, have a little bit of conversation with your friends, and then maybe like after 2 hours, everyone starts to like really party.
Yeah. But you as an artist, do you prefer? I think.
I mean, if I go out myself, I
Yeah.
like that as well.
Yeah,
It's
me
not
too.
like I come running into a venue super excited. I don't know, you're just kind of like, working out where you are, what the vibe is, kind of like feeling what kind of people are there.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we can learn a lot about countries like India
Yeah.
or China or like Asia as well. I think in Europe, sometimes the early slots in Asia can be like really fun. So if
Yeah.
you're like a young upcoming DJ or you're like having an early slot there, you can have one of the best sets and vibes you can ever have. If you have that in Europe, you can have most terrible day or
Yeah.
nobody will be there or whatever. I still remember one time as well with Mike Williams at Abbey One, second slot, and there was like literally nobody there. It was
Yeah.
raining, but we had fun. But as an artist, I think you get more recognition and feeling when
Of course,
you do like an Asia run or India run.
of course. I mean, you want people to show up and play for someone, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't feel like a number. You're actually feeling like the artist you want to be.
Yeah. So in those 15 years, any crazy stories, which we can
A
tell
lot, yeah.
on camera?
A lot. My story is how I see it. I had a dream when I started this. You start at a small club somewhere in Haarlem, here in Holland, and I was there drinking a beer. I worked at the club, but I was off, and we had Gregor Salto. Well, then he was called just Gregor.
Legend.
He was a legend as well. He was our resident DJ, still with vinyls, pretty cool. And I had maybe 2 or 3 beers too much, so I was like, man, I know how to MC. Because we had the sneakers time, so MCing was just like developing a little bit more. And I was like, man, I could do that. I was like, whoa. And he was like, okay, do it. So again, the headphone stuff again. So I did it, and he was like, sounds pretty cool. Maybe we should do a little bit more about it. So I started there, and then in Harlem some stuff, and then went to Eye in the Future. There was like Christmas Eve. There was like a really big party in Harlem. And then there was Eric E., Leibig Luke, Marnix, guys like that. So I was asked to host that. I was like, wow. And they paid me money. I was like, wow, you get paid to do this? That's cool. And then it developed a little bit. And then at one point I was like, I like it a lot, but still was working next to it. So it was like a hobby. And I was like, it would be so cool if I would go to abroad to Germany or Belgium or some country.
Yeah.
To just do my thing. But then in another country, I was like, oh wow. And then that happened. I was like, wow, really excited. And then I had like a dream. I had like 6 stages I always wanted to be on. So I have like a target, and it was an absolutely crazy target. I had Ultra Miami Main on it, EDC Las Vegas Main on it, Untold,
Of course.
Perukaville, Tomorrowland, of course, main stage. And last year in July, 2 years ago in July, Tomorrowland Main did with Chocolate Puma, and that was the last piece, and I did all 6. And then I was like, wow.
Made it.
I don't think that's the story you want, so I will come back later with some dirty stuff. But yeah, I was really like, okay, you say legend, I don't see myself like that, but on the other hand, how cool is it that
I mean,
starting off with a hobby,
big stages.
and I did them all, so
Yeah.
I was like, and sometimes have discussion. I got some friends that have like big own companies, like accountancies. Well, they make a lot of money, and I'm like, well, I'm not rich. I'm just like normal, regular.
Yeah.
And so I'm sometimes, and then we're on table having some dinner with some guys, and then they go like, oh yeah, I got 100,000 there, 100,000 there. And I'm going, guys, I don't have 100,000. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. And then one of my friends said, and I will never forget that, what I did, even though I'm not rich from it, he says, I will pay millions to do what you did. And that's the funny thing is, if you're in it, I think maybe for you as well,
Yeah.
sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm having fun, it's good, it's fun, but yeah, what's my, it's more about the adventure,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
the money.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't see the value of what we're doing.
No, absolutely.
And that's the funny thing. I was like, oh, damn, you're right. He said, I will pay millions for what you did, even though you're not rich or whatever, but the experience that you have. And I think we have stories when we get old and we get in a old people's home. We would have enough stories to just like go by.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, you probably know this, like traveling and especially events and like, every festival has like VIP tables and like all that stuff. And you run into like crazy people, like especially nowadays, like crypto millionaires and like all that types of people. And I mean, I cannot complain at all because I'm making a very good living of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like when you sometimes are looking at those guys, and I don't want to like criticize what they do because they made it.
Everybody does it in their own way,
what they did.
whatever, yeah.
But like they made like millions with like crypto or like another business, which is also hard work. And then sometimes we're just like laughing about it. Oh, sounds like I did something wrong in my lifetime.
Yeah. But on the other hand, and that's, I think, very important in our industry. Of course, you have the acceptation. You have the A-list artists.
Of course.
They don't complain. They got everything on. But I think for you as well, if you're on a reasonable festival somewhere, standing on stage, it's a full field. That feeling that you have, if it goes really well, people go crazy. That feeling is not, you cannot make that in any money.
No.
So there's no value to
No.
that feeling that you have. And it's difficult to explain because if you're not we're not doing this for the money. Well, I'm
No.
not doing it
No.
because I'm not going to get, then I should do something else.
Yeah,
I'm doing
of
it for the
course.
money. But sometimes in this environment we're living in, it's difficult to see the value of something that doesn't have any money attached
Yeah.
to it. And I think, I had to learn it because sometimes, I was like, especially after COVID, I was at the top, made a good living, and then went to zero. And then all my saving money I needed for the first 6 months.
Crazy.
So everything was gone. But on the other hand, that feeling that I had before and after, again, nobody can take that away from me.
No, absolutely not. And
So-
like still that's what I was thinking like during COVID, when obviously I had the same struggles as everyone. And I was like, I mean, it's crazy. I'm literally doing what I love. I have literally a hobby that got out of control. And now I'm literally able to like support myself for what has it been, 1 or 2 years, just by making music and playing shows.
Yeah.
And like having so much freedom while doing it, like there's no 9 to 5 schedule, or there's like
No.
there's literally no restrictions in life, which is crazy when you think like literally 95 or 99% of the world is just grinding every day, day in, day out to make a living.
And if they are happy, that's fine by me.
No, of course.
Everybody does whatever they want to be
course.
happy. I think only you and me, and maybe a lot of people in our industry, we are like guys. We don't want to have like what if, or what if I did that, or
Yeah.
what if I didn't, change. The only thing I sometimes, and I think you experience that as well, that some people come up to you, you don't have to complain. Man, you have like everything. You have planes, cars, private jets. And that's not the real world,
No.
Of course, some guys in our industry have that. And, they worked hard for it, or they made the right choices, right hits, music, whatever. But not everybody, they're below that, and especially also the crew around it. But still, people think that you like have an easy life. You always sleep and then just go to a club, but they don't have a clue, and that's fine as long as you don't judge me, I don't judge you, and as long as everybody's happy, everybody's happy. But yeah, I'm just really proud of the experience and the life experience that I was able to have.
Yeah, I feel like nothing. Even now that I'm thinking about just like last weekend, I was in New York, and it was literally me and a bunch of friends DJing for a crowd. And, nowadays we're really, which of course it's a big production, it's a big show. But if you really look into it, it's literally just a group of friends DJing for, a big crowd. And like before, we got to like explore the city, have a nice dinner, go around New York. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And just
but
for
then,
a weekend.
it's just how you, I think, and that I think that's nice about our business. If you just cope with it right, it's, let's be honest, it's maybe 150 artists, maybe 200.
Yeah.
Half of them are Dutch. Half of the crew is Dutch. When you travel all around the world, there's always a piece of those 200 on a festival.
Yeah.
That's there. And what I really like, especially before COVID, now it's a little bit more hustled, but before COVID, I saw you like in India, and then maybe 2 weeks later in Sweden for a festival, and then maybe a month later somewhere in South America or whatever. And we just had like the regular talks backstage, because everybody thinks again backstage like partying, drinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, you ask me how the kids, or I ask you, man, the new track, or how's the family, or whatever. And that's what people sometimes don't understand. A lot of people do, or luckily, but most people don't have a clue. For us, it's like I cannot call you a friend, but if you call me Peter, I got some problem, can you help me? I will help you out.
Yeah,
worries.
of course.
Because you like build up a connection, same connection, and that's, I think, the most important. We're like colleagues at work.
Yeah.
Only our work is like spread over the whole world.
True.
But we're still like colleagues at work, and that's what I think is most important. And then you enjoy it together as a group, and especially what I find cool, if somebody else is like pretty arrogant, or, well, I can name a few, but I won't. You're not accepted in that group, because we had a lot of artists that came, and then maybe even within the year they were like out of that group. And it's not that we decide what what the world has to see or whatever, but it's more, if you don't fit into the group, it's hard work. It's less sleep, flight. Yeah, people, I know it sounds hard work. It is sometimes, actually. And if you don't have the right attitude, we're like a group. Everybody does it together. So that's what I really loved about the industry, or still love about the industry. The rotten apples, as we call it in Holland, they will just fall off the tree, and they will go like, you will never see them again. And I think that's pretty cool.
Luckily, some turn around too.
Oh, true. Some turn around.
They get nicer, and they appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it sometimes as well, because you get into like a whole new world, and you're like meeting all of these people. I feel like a lot of artists nowadays have that, like seeing other artists as competition instead of just as colleagues and friends.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, but I think that starts where you started at. I think you also started maybe in a small club here in
Yeah.
Holland, just like maybe playing for 30, 40, 50 people every freaking Friday night or whatever. You had like
Yeah.
your home base. I even had like a festival or a small club in Holland. I came in, there was literally nobody there. And there was no rider because
No.
we didn't do about a rider, so you get drink tickets, and
Went to
there
the
were like
bar.
beefy sandwiches like there. That was it. And then you had to play for the whole night. But
Yeah.
I stayed. We did it. There were like maybe 5 or 10 people. And I think the build up nowadays, because it's more online and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Can happen quick.
you go quicker from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And we went like from 0 to 10 to 40 to
True.
50. I think that's a big difference how people get into the industry right now, or even the international industry. And it can be hard for if you don't
Yeah.
have anything to compare with, or
Yeah,
where you
of course.
started, or humbleness. I think it's possible. But then on the other hand, it's good that a lot of artists in the industry will help you, be more. Well, you don't have to be humble, but be more gratitude. For
Yeah,
what
just
you're doing.
chill about
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and it's still, it can be work.
True. I mean, I always try to see like the bigger picture because, which I also get, everyone wants to put on a good show and wants to put on their own show, but in the end, it's just like we're all there to entertain the same people at that festival,
Yeah.
and that's in the end the ultimate goal of the whole festival.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really gets like, yeah, but I want to have like my good show, and whatever the rest of the guys do, I don't really care about
No.
it.
No.
But it's like we're all there to give people a good day. So why not just like with all of us have that as a goal instead of all being like, no, I want to have my show.
Yeah,
It's
your
good.
islands.
Yeah.
Like this is my
Yeah,
my
yeah.
hours, or this is my
Yeah.
show. Yeah. This is actually Kinetic Field in EDC Las
Sick.
Vegas. That was like a dream come true.
Still one of the craziest festivals.
Yeah, and I still remember the stage. It was like 300. It was the big owl with the
Yeah.
turning head as well. And I was literally on the picture. I was like this small on the whole stage. I was like, wow. Because when you're on it, you don't have that
No.
clue or any idea how it looks in the big picture. But yeah, this was one of the
I
highlights.
feel like that's a question a lot of people ask. Like, when you're up there, do you see like individual faces?
No, and that's good. It's funny. I'm more nervous if I have to do a presentation or something
Yeah.
like this. Okay, this is pretty cool because you still don't see the audience. But if you have like 20 people, sometimes you do for a friend or something, a birthday
Yeah,
party,
of
and
course.
it's like 50 people there, and they just want to, I want to have some friends over, do some stuff. So, but then you look like straight into people's eyes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the most terrifying thing as an MC that there is. But at one point with festivals, you just see like a mass of people.
Yeah.
So it's not individual. That's, for me, it works better because and then with me, it's like when the first 2 or 3 sentences work and people go like enthusiastic, then everything is easy. Goes on. Well, not easy. Goes on automatic pilot.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, must be so fun to like, because when I'm playing a song, of course you get a reaction, but as an MC, like you literally get an instant reaction when you're like talking.
Yeah, and that's also the same. Well, because if it doesn't work, then you go like, okay, it didn't work. What am I going to do next? It's the same with you. I
Yeah,
think.
of
If a track
course.
doesn't
Of
work,
course.
okay, you're going to choose another track.
Yeah.
Maybe that one works. But of course, you have like a high standard of kind of tracks you want to play. And one of those tracks will definitely, and you have like backup tracks that you know will always work. Well, as an MC, you don't have backup stuff that always works. And especially, I think it's the same. If you start off a set with a horrible track, you have to. It's hard work to get
to
that.
like fix that again.
And that's the same with MCing. If you start off like, well, it doesn't work. It can take like a whole set before you, at the end of the set, maybe you'll have. But on the other hand, that's the drive you have. Because if you quit like after sentence number 1, well, you can forget it. So yeah, that's actually the drive, and sometimes it's pretty scary if the first one doesn't work. But on the other hand, I think, well, I'm not going to say a good MC will always find a way to help. And still, I think even with MCing, the music is always leading.
Yeah. But still, I do still think that like a good MC can really help
Yeah.
lift
Yeah.
the whole
We should always
experience.
lift the set or the music
Yeah,
and never bring it down. So that's not the point of MCing. And you know, if you have like enough experience with one DJ, you can do more or have to do
Yeah.
more, and at the other DJ you just have to do one or two things in the whole set, and that's enough. And that's the sport. Yeah, I love it, and I love eventually you have a connection with the guys. And then you know, like I know when I come up to you, I know what you want.
Yeah.
It's short, not too much, just a little bit there. And if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. I think that works the best.
yeah. Just be. I love that. Just like being chill about it and
Yeah.
just feel off each other.
Yeah, yeah.
What you want, what you need.
And I especially again because that's I think the most fun part. They have to remember you after the set. They don't have to remember me. I'm just
I mean, I guess can
yeah,
be
but it's the same with singers. Sometimes you bring on like a vocalist or whatever.
True.
They sing like the most beautiful
Yeah.
stuff, but then in the reactions or whatever, maybe half of them or three-quarter doesn't know who the artist was.
Yeah. True.
But they all know that you did it.
Yeah.
And that's also a role you have to accept
Yeah.
as an MC as well.
I mean, did you ever think about like, oh, that's maybe weird, or like, or ever had any issues with that role, or
Yes. Well, not. I'm not going to give examples, but if you start off with like an artist or you build something up, and then at one point, and again, I'm not sad about it or whatever. You have to accept your role.
Yeah.
I'm not. It sounds stupid, but you're like an accessory. You make something extra. But at one point, if you start almost at zero and you build something up, and then you see the artist going sky high,
yeah,
and then you're still on the same level, it can be, disappointing. I'm not saying disappointing, but then at one point I saw the big picture, and when you accept it, it's going to be more fun.
yeah, of course,
And I think it's good to always have a drive. You know, you always want to be the best, or you want to be. So that's why I had that 6 stages in my head, and I'm proud of myself that I did it.
Yeah.
And I don't need to sell it to the world or put it like every day on Instagram or whatever. That was my goal, and then you have to make your own goals. So not the public goals or the stardom or whatever. No, you have to make your own goals.
Yeah,
and then it works.
That I have the same on like maybe a different level, but like whenever I do like a lot of the support shows with Martin, for instance, I always get like a lot of like comments or like questions like, bro, when are you gonna do like your own solo show or whatever? And then I'm like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see when it happens. I'm just doing my thing. I have my own goals. But it's not like I'm sad that I'm the support act in that moment. Of course, I have goals to maybe one day have my own big shows, or like, of course, solo shows are a whole different experience than the support stuff, because there you're just like, well, what you're saying, you're just part of the experience, and you're kind of like leading people up to Martin's show on that evening.
Yeah, can I be honest with you? Actually, it's really sad that somebody would say that to you.
Happens.
I know it. I think it can happen. But to give an example, I think our industry never saw you like that. Never.
No.
Nobody. Second of all right, so you're still on the most highest level that Martin wants you, like almost in every big show, as starting off with, because he gets quality. And besides that, then people don't know you really well, because you got a lot of stuff going on for yourself. You have amazing tracks.
Yeah.
You did amazing shows on yourselves. So I can understand it, that people, but I think that's also a little bit shallow people.
Yeah, it's mostly people that like don't really have a thing for dance music in general.
But AD, every Sunday, every year, on Sunday, who's the first sold out one?
True.
Well, not mine. Or I know a lot of other guys that never sell out ADE on their own.
True.
You're one of the first ones sold out on your own.
Yeah.
And not because they think Martin is coming, because if you've been there every year, most of the time he's not there.
No.
So, actually, well, I'm not gonna cry, but it's not. It hurts me because it's not fair, and I will never see you like that because we did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Also separated from
Of
that.
course.
And yeah, in my opinion, first of all, you're like really dedicated. You're always on time. You always take time to chat with your fans or with the other guys, and you always have an amazing team around you. It's not Martin's team; it's your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally don't agree with that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Does me
No, it's really
makes me
good.
feel good.
Yeah, but you deserve it. And again, I really got a big smile every year with ADE when, like, after announcing within a day or maybe 2 days, you go like sold out, and everybody's
Yes.
like struggling to get somebody in there.
Yeah, last year
and
was
you fixed it.
crazy.
Yeah. So I think that for you could be like also something to be really proud of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Just want to say thank you for coming, for being here, and you guys, thank you for listening or watching, and see you guys soon.
Thank you so much for being here, and hope to see you like this summer again, and we're gonna have some fun.
Hell
drinks
yes,
as well.
summer
Thank you so much, bro.
2024.
Yeah, baby.